It is said that those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. So here we have 12 fun facts about the history of beer. Beer has been traced as far back as 3500 BCE in modern-day Iran and contained nutrients that were missing from other drinks, thereby fulfilling an important dietary role. It was also considered safer than water because all of the microorganisms were killed off when boiled during production. I mean, I've been to some countries like that nowadays, so this doesn't seem so far-fetched. The Sumerian goddess Ninkasi was worshipped as the goddess of beer, and there's a song called Hymn to Ninkasi that is part tribute and part beer recipe. It involves mixing grains in cold and hot water without any boiling. Because there was no sterilization, it was a rather risky brew, which may have resulted in imbibers of the brew visiting Ninkasi sooner than needed in the afterlife. Because of the presence of sediment in ancient beers, the Sumerians invented the straw specifically to drink beer and leave the bottom residue in the glass. I wonder how well those paper straws would hold up to a strong beer these days. Not that I'm willing to try. There's 5,000-year-old evidence of beer brewing in China, made partly by millet, barley, a kind of grain called Job's tears, and tubers, which are like potatoes. Potato beer. I guess that means they'll need a new name for using the Mashtun. Get it? Mashed potatoes? Whatever. Yeast has always played a role in brewing, but its purpose wasn't discovered until Louis Pasteur started working with it in the mid-1800s. And you thought he was only good for pasteurizing milk. The cold climate in Germany and the Czech Republic led to the development and use of bottom fermenting yeasts, which led to the creation of the most popular type of beer in the world today, lagers. Turns out it's fat bottom yeasts that make the world go round. In 1759, Arthur Guinness leased the building where Guinness beer is produced for a term of 9,000 years, a lease that became null once the brewery bought the land outright. I mean, I guess he knew his beer would be around for a while, huh? George Washington loved brewing a low-alcohol and low-quality beer called small beer during the French and Indian War in 1757. His estate on Mount Vernon later became a prolific brewery. This is kind of funny, though, because I must have missed that part in Hamilton the musical. On October 17, 1814, a 30-foot-tall vat of porter burst at the Mew & Company brewery and caused other vats nearby to burst as well. The resulting 570-ton tidal wave of beer knocked down a brick wall at the brewery, collapsed 2 nearby buildings, and resulted in the deaths of 8 people as it surged down Tottenham Road in London, England. Tragic, of course, but I mean, what a way to go. The Mayflower, yeah, that Mayflower, that one that transported the Pilgrims, was originally destined for Virginia, but it stopped at Plymouth Rock because they ran out of beer, despite all of the passengers being rationed a gallon of beer per day on the voyage. When he noticed the supply was running low, the captain sent the passengers ashore, forcing them to drink water to ensure his crew had enough beer for the return trip to England. In 1634, the Pauliner monks of Nudek ob der Aue invented a malty and thick beer that they nicknamed liquid bread that was a predecessor to the modern Doppelbock. They then chose to subsist solely on this nutrient-rich beer and some water throughout the 46 days of Lent that year in a belief that the beer would cleanse the body and soul in preparation for Easter. I think I know how I want to cleanse my body and soul for next year. And finally, the state of Georgia originally included sites for those in debtor's prison to work off their sentences. As part of their sentence, and to avoid consuming the contaminated water in the area, prisoners were granted 44 gallons of beer as part of their welcome package. I'm thinking that's a heck of a prison party. And there you have 12 fun historical facts facts about the history of beer.